Hello, good evening. I'd like to call to order the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners Committee of the Whole meeting for Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. Clerk, please.
1 presiding, 9 present, 2 absent.
Please let the record show that Commissioner Fisher and O'Neill are excused. Commissioner Sorich, would you lead us in the prayer and the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Fellow Commissioners, Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which shall greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner Sorich. I will now ask for public comment on any items on the agenda. All right, seeing none. Report of the chair. I don't really have too much to report besides that it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I want to thank Commissioner Shea for pointing that out to me. And Mental Health Awareness Month is an important opportunity to raise awareness about the prevalence and impact of mental health conditions, reduce stigma, and promote access to resources and support for those who need it. By increasing understanding and acceptance of mental health issues, we can help individuals and communities thrive and improve overall well-being. Let us work together to prioritize mental health and create a more supportive and compassionate society for all. So if you are having mental health issues, there are resources to help you. We'll move into Section 1, bid openings, public hearings, and/or presentations. 1, communication number 2023-231, Elizabeth Olson, BSB Senior Planner, requesting Council of Commissioners approval to hold a public hearing on May 10th, 2023 for a comprehensive plan amendment to adopt the Butte-Silver Parks Master Plan as addendum to the appendix. County Attorney Joyce, do we have proof of publication?
Mr. Chairman, there is proof of publication, and it does appear to be in order.
Thank you. Ms. Osborne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. For the record, Lila Osborne, Butte-Silver Senior Planner. I just have a couple slides to go over what we're asking to adopt the adopt the Parks Master Plan into the appendix of the comprehensive plan. The Parks Master Plan was finished in February, and in March we went to the Planning Board, and the Planning Board recommended of the comprehensive plan amendment. To adopt it, there's a resolution being held for next week, which I mistakenly submitted before we had the public hearing. So there are 7 main principles of the comprehensive plan listed up here, and the Parks Plan does meet all of them, might not meet affordability and equity of housing, but it doesn't hinder or obstruct any of them. The Montana Code annotated states that a growth policy, which is also sometimes called a comprehensive plan, may include 1 or more neighborhood plans, and these plans must be consistent with the comprehensive plan. It also states that growth policy may include descriptions of projected growth and maintenance of trail systems, municipal facilities, parks, and open space. And so the Parks Plan does that in more detail than the comprehensive plan does. The Parks Plan is consistent with the comp plan, and many of the may include items of the MCA are supportive of our comprehensive plan. And basically that's it. Bob and I are here for any questions.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Are there any questions from council members? All right, seeing none, I will open the public hearing. Please come to the microphone and at the podium and state your name and address for the record if you're going to speak. And now I will call for proponents. First call for proponents.
Oh, the little red light's on, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Auditor Vanderup, 2601 Grand Avenue. I'm an opponent of the amended Park Master Plan.
Mr. Banderob, this is for proponents.
Proponents.
Yeah. So stick around close.
I'll be back.
All right. So now I'll ask for second call for proponents. Third call for proponents. I'll call for opponents. First call for opponents.
Auditor Vanderup, 2601 Grand. I am an opponent to the amended Parks Master Plan, as I am sure it does not contain an ice slide complex at the Mount Con. We have a great summer attraction, and you do know we have a lot of cold weather in Butte, and there's no reason we could not have a great dual season slide attraction at the Mount Con. I'm also opposed because the park plan does not include green space or reestablishing the Butte-Silver Boat Park and the Greeley neighborhood. Thank you.
All right. Now I'll second call for opponents. Third call for opponents. Public hearing is closed. All right, moving on to presentations, communication number 2023-201, Beth Worm, Human Resources Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for time on the April 26th, 2023 agenda to give a presentation regarding the July 1st, 2023 Butte-Silver Health Insurance Renewal Program. It is not April 26th. We had to move this back, but Director Worm.
Okay, so I will keep it short in respect for the following presenter, so they have plenty of time. Commissioners, thank you for giving me this time on this for this meeting and allowing me to move it as well. So as you know, our health insurance goals are always to provide affordable health insurance benefits plan that fits the needs of our employees and their families without reducing benefits. So kind of to recap, we've continued to work with Payne West Insurance to monitor and manage the Butte-Silver health insurance. We did have a loss ratio of 183%, which is up from 79% last year. And there are currently 12 large claimants versus, which is an increase of 9 that we had last year. This seems to be on trend from the information that we've gathered. A lot of people are calling it the COVID hangover. People have been delaying services during the pandemic, and they're finally starting to get in for some of those procedures. And due to some of the delayed procedures, we're actually getting late-stage diagnoses too out of it. So that's kind of part of the reason we've had some large claimants. Insurance premiums and medical costs are tracking with the economy, so inflation is up, but we continue to have our benefits a high priority for our employees. These are our current enrollment numbers. They're very similar to last year for option 1 and option 2. We did have an increase for enrollment in option 3. We had last year we had 23 enrolled in the high deductible 5,000 plan, and this year we have 39. So quite a few people have moved to that higher high deductible plan. So again, our objective is with this information of where trends are and how our plan has been doing, our objective is always to provide affordable health benefits that fits the needs of our employees and their families without reducing the benefits. So when we kind of started looking at open enrollment, we were working with Payne West and our insurance committee, and we looked at whether we wanted to look elsewhere for our medical insurance or stick with Blue Cross Blue Shield. We did decide to stick with Blue Cross Blue Shield. They basically gave us a 0% increase in third-party administration fees and a $130,000 credit for wellness administration fees. Our employees do seem to be happy with the current coverage, and we felt it'd be less disruptive for our members. We did have Payne West go out for an RFP for HSA, FSA Cobra carriers. We got 4 responses total from Flores, Task, WEX, and Health Equity. After comparing those choices, we elected to stay with Flores. There were some transition hiccups when we moved to Flores, but we've been working through those. Flores has been very helpful with kind of facilitating that, and we have monthly check-in meetings now to help navigate some of those things that have come up. But so far, again, our employees seem to be happy with the coverage and less disruptive for our employees. Stop loss, which is always one of the bigger cost items on a self-insured plan. So Payne West marketed to 9 providers and 7 provided quotes back to us. At first, Granular was the most competitive, but after we worked with Payne West and worked with Blue Cross, they were able to match the proposal that Granular had with the pricing and provisions. It's also nice to stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield for our stop loss coverage because it integrates into our claims and helps with administrative billing. It shows on our weekly invoices the credit versus having to wait for checks, so it's just a faster, quicker, easier process. So then our rates. On April 28th, we met with Payne West, and the projected budget increase was anywhere from 18 to 44%. And at that time, that's when we kind of worked with Payne West to kind of get back with Blue Cross and see if they could negotiate better stop loss rates for us. And they were able to do that and kind of really come to the table for us. So with those renegotiations that we had with Blue Cross Blue Shield and the updated stop loss rates, we were able to receive an increase. We did have an increase due to the high claims last year, but the Payne West actuary was able to project the budget increase from 15% to 30% increase. The trend for medical inflation is about 8%. And our self-funded insurance is at a good spot with reserve funding. The IRS guidelines are 35% of annual costs, and our reserve is about $1 million, so it's just under that. So the reserve is looking good. So with a recommendation from Payne West, the insurance committee is recommending a 6% premium increase to current rates on all 3 plans, with the understanding that any additional expenditures will be from the self-funded insurance reserve if needed. So right here, you'll see the rate increases for the $1,000 plan, the $3,000 plan, and here is the $5,000 plan. So with this, Butte-Silver Bow will continue to offer the 4 tiers of coverage that we have worked hard to get to, and the 3 different plans. So there'll be no change to plan design, no increase to deductibles, and no decrease to plan benefits. So I'm going to pass it over to Tara Filius, our benefits specialist, to talk more about plan design.
So like Beth said, none of our premiums our deductibles are going up. We do still have the 3 options. The option one is still going to be $1,000 individual and $2,000 family deductible. That plan does pay 70%, and then after that, then there's a maximum out of pocket of $2,500. And then both options 2 and 3, the high deductible plans, will there's an individual deductible of $3,000 and $5,000, and then a family of $6,000 and $10,000, and they will pay after you hit those deductibles at 100%. Your copays for office visits, there are copays in the traditional plan. The 2 high deductible plans, those apply to your deductible. So as you're going to the doctor, those will help you pay down your deductible a little bit. Preventative screenings across the board are 100% covered. Diagnostic, imaging, and lab testing also all apply towards your deductibles there. And again, no changes on that. The prescription benefits on the tier one, or on the traditional plan, there are out-of-pocket costs, $10, $20, $35, depending on what tier the drug is in. On your option 2 and 3, high deductible plans, once you meet your deductible, those are covered. And then preventative medicines are covered at 100%. We do have a mail order prescription benefit where you pay 2 months for 3 months supply of your prescriptions if you opt to do it that way. So that's a little bit of a savings for the employees as well. Dental and orthodontic benefits, individual deductible for dental is $50, and family deductible is $150. The preventative care and screening visits are at 100% covered. Basic dental is, the plan pays 80%, and then it applies the deductible as well. And then major restorative care expenses plans, the plan pays 50%, and then the max that any dental will pay, or this plan at least will pay, is $1,500 per plan year. And then the orthodontic treatment benefit pays 50%, and the max there is also $1,500. And that's for covered dependents less than 25 years old. Vision, again, no changes here. You get the vision examination every year covered at 100%. Frames, all of these actually are annually, which is pretty good. That's not necessarily typical for a vision plan. So frames, you'll get $125 towards your frames each year, $85 towards single vision lenses, bifocal lenses, $120, trifocal lenses, $165, and then it goes up from there. We are still offering health savings accounts for the high deductible plans, medical flexible spending accounts, limited flexible spending accounts, dependent care flexible spending accounts, Health Joy and telemedicine and mobile concierge service, which is great. That kind of gives people a chance to do telemedicine for things they can diagnose over the phone for a much cheaper rate than going to the doctor. So that's kind of a nice service there. The Health Check 360 Wellbeing Program, we continue to run through different programs. Right now we're in the middle of one, so we'll be finishing that up in the beginning of June. Administrative support, we still get that all year from Payne West, and we still have the online benefit enrollment through Employee Navigator. We did change our employee assistance program carrier in August, and have been seeing a lot of people access that, which has been great. They also are very aware of the mental health stuff this month, and so you probably are seeing lots of emails from me going out every week on Wednesday about mental health and the EAP. So that's pretty much it. I think we just have, oh no, just kidding. We have open enrollment. That's kind of important. So tomorrow starts our open enrollment meetings. We have 2 tomorrow and then 4 on Tuesday and Thursday. All of the elections will be able to be made on Employee Navigator starting on the 15th. And that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
So since we didn't make a lot of plan just changes, our intent for open enrollment is to reiterate to our employees that it is a self-funded insurance plan, so the choices that they make on the plan affect the premiums that we're able to offer. So the better our plan does, the better rates we can have. Obviously, this last year wasn't as good of a year, and so it's kind of that secular thing. Hopefully next year, we'll have a better year, and our employees will be healthy, which is always the goal, and so just re-talking about, the little things that they can do, such as going to their preventative visits, making sure they take any maintenance medicines, things like that. So that's kind of the intent for our open enrollment meetings, to just remind our employees of those things. Questions?
Thank you. Great presentation, and I appreciate the work you and your staff and the insurance committee. I appreciate the work they do to make sure that we're getting the best deal for our employees. So thank you for that. And yeah, I'll open it up to commissioners for questions. Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Chairman Frederickson. As you went through this, I noticed on number 5, it said there was a $130,000 credit for the wellness and administration fee waiver. I wonder if you could touch a little bit on that in honor of Commissioner Fisher, because he doesn't like that fee every month. So,
Commissioner Reardon and Director Worm.
I didn't quite catch that last thing you said.
When we were on the Budget and Finance Committee, when we go through, it's usually billed as a for, regarding this for the wellness and administration fee. So is that $130,000 a credit? Is that available? So will that help toward, or I just don't really understand that.
Yep. Director Worm.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Reardon. So from my understanding, it is a one-time credit that is put on the first invoice of the plan month. So it's a one-time credit that we receive, and I don't believe that Blue Cross has any stipulations on what we use it for, but it is kind of part of that renewal rate that we were able to work with Payne West to get. We did get a credit last year too. I want to say it was $25,000 for wellness and $35,000 for administrative credit. So we got a credit last year too, so it's very similar to last year's renewal.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sorich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank you for the presentation. I guess what we heard earlier about, this is Mental Health Week and the whole works. So where in there is the mental health? Where do you find it? I guess I didn't see it in here anywhere.
Yeah. Commissioner Sorich, Director Worm.
Thank you. That's a great question, Commissioner Sorich. We do offer our EAP program to all Butte-Silver employees, so they're able to call and get counseling services through the EAP. There's text-to-coach. There's financial help that is available to them through their EAP. So that is separate from our health plan, because our health plan isn't all Butte-Silver employees, but we want our EAP to be for all Butte-Silver employees.
Thank you.
Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I just have a follow-up to that. Is there a mental health benefit in the plan designs?
Director Worm?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Shea. Yes, if you go to a therapist or anything like that, you can absolutely run that through your insurance plan.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
I figured, but I wanted you to be able
Oh,
to say it.
absolutely,
Thank
yes.
you.
It's important. We
That's a
always
good question.
encourage that.
Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chairman Frederickson. Thank you, Beth, for being here. You said the numbers, but I did not write them down. So you said that there was a loss because how is that funded then? Where do you get that money if that's the case?
Yeah. Commissioner Thatcher, Director Worm.
Thank you, Commissioner Thatcher. It is funded through our reserves. So anytime employees pay premiums, things like that, first, you pay out your insurance claims, but anything left over is reserves. So that's where that comes from.
Yep. Follow up, Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, and thank you. Could you tell me roughly how much in reserves?
Yes, we have a little over $1 million. I want to say it's 1.3.
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. Moving on to our second presentation, communication number 2023-244, Kristen Rosa, Economic Development Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for a presentation on May 10th, 2023 by Senate regarding their proposed development in the Montana Connections Park and to request a 75% tax abatement per MCA 15-24-1402, new or expanding industries. Director Rosa.
Thank you, Chair Frederickson and Commissioners. So tonight we've requested time on the agenda for a presentation by Sonata. Sonata is evaluating development for a manufacturing facility in the Montana Connections Park. And last week you approved a purchase and sale agreement for a 40-acre parcel. Tonight, they are now starting the process of requesting a tax abatement under the new and expanding industry abatement process. And as a first step in that process, Olav will be giving a presentation and about their company and about their planned development in Butte. In 2 weeks, you will have a public hearing regarding the abatement request, and then we will be submitting a communication asking the council to approve that request and instruct the county attorney to prepare a resolution. So I'm going to let Olav take it from here and tell you more about their project.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thanks for the introduction, Kristen. So I will be presenting the company Sonata. My name is Olav Malen, nice to see you all, and thanks for inviting us. I was thinking to share a presentation about the company. So can you see the presentation here now? Yep, great. Who is Sonata? We are a Norwegian company that produces silicon-based nanoparticles that will be used in lithium-ion batteries. So now we are considering locating our next factory in Butte, Montana, and other sites that I will come back to. Currently, we have a pilot plant in Oslo, or near Oslo, as you can see on the picture. We are a Norwegian company as a background, and now we are considering expanding our business into the US. And here you can see a picture of the management team. I am working on business development, and we also have a strong management team with competency and experience from both scaling up companies and experience within silicon as a material. We also have a very strong board with financial strength and competence within silicon. For example, we have the CEO of Elkem, which is one of the major silicon producing companies in the world. So here you can see a bit about our goals with the company. So we will produce materials for lithium-ion batteries that will be sort of half of the battery, which is called the anode of the battery. And we will make batteries with 30 to 40% higher capacity than currently used materials. And we will make batteries having lower cost in production and also significantly lower CO2 footprint in production. So on the picture here you can see how material looks like that will go into the batteries. We create value in many ways. On the picture here you can see how a typical battery looks like inside. You have the cathode and a separator and an anode. That's sort of the basic content of a battery. And we are producing the anode, and that usually is the largest layer in the battery. And by replacing that layer with silicon, our silicon material from graphite that's currently used today, that layer can be significantly reduced. So you sort of get more paper on the toilet paper roll, if you could use that analogy. So 1 kilogram of our silicon material will replace between 5 to 7 kilos of graphite. And that will, of course, making the batteries more attractive. It will increase the driving range of electrical vehicles. That will be the main use for our batteries. And our batteries or material can actually be used directly in the battery cell manufacturers' supply chains with no additional costs. So they will automatically then get increased capacity of their capacity with no investment. And that will lead to a lower battery production cost, dollars per kilowatt hour of battery produced. Here you can see a bit about our journey. The company started as a spin-off in 2017. And in 2020 we welded together 3 containers, as you can see in the picture, where we created a small-scale reactor. And based on very strong results from that reactor, we financed the building of a pilot plant, as you can see in the picture in the middle, which will soon have now complete full capacity at 100 tons capacity a year, which is equivalent to roughly 1,000 megawatt hours per year. But the next step now, as we have good results from production and our collaboration with one of the leading battery cell manufacturers in the world, we have now taken owners in place to scale up for giga mass scale, and so that's why we are thinking about we're now considering establishing a plant in the United States. So So we are considering several different options. We are looking at the northwestern of the United States, and that's because we are dependent on raw materials from RSE Silicon, and they have factories in both Butte, Montana, and Moses Lake, but we can also transport that materials a bit. So we're also looking at Tri-Cities and Hermiston. And that giga-scale factory will not have 100 tons of capacity as our pilot plant, but it will have up to 10,000 tons, metric tons of capacity. We are now preparing for everything that needs to be done before a factory can be in place. We have secured land in Butte and are working on other sites as well, and preparing other activities like financing and feed study, etc. So our plan is to be in operation with commercial deliveries by year-end 2025. Not sure if you can see all of the numbers here on this slide, but we foresee significant revenues and also profits based on our product that will be first in the world, potentially in the market, but that will require investments and significant investments in property and infrastructure utilities. But the highest proportion of the capex is for plant equipment. We'll do investments in steps. So the first step will be about $100 million US dollars for the 2,000 tons capacity, and then up to 350 million euro in total for the 10,000 tons capacity. So we will hire, and our plant will have about 250 full-time employees, and that will of course create tax income, and will have ripple effects from other local suppliers and also state suppliers. As mentioned, we are dependent on raw materials. It's called silane from RSE Silicon, and if we are locating in Butte, that plant will need to increase capacity with about double size, which will be significant investments, and so that will also create ripple effects. I think that was the most important, I would say, today. So I think I can close the presentation. If you have and open up for questions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for considering our community, and I appreciate your honesty that you're considering other locations. I certainly hope that you choose ours. When do you anticipate that you will make a decision on the location?
When did you say? We would like to have clarified as much as we can before we make a decision on site selection. Amongst others, this tax abatement. So we would like to have all the facts in place as much as we can. So we're working on site permitting permits and considering different options. options, and also this silane raw material is something we're working on in parallel. So there are many factors that we need to take into account when we are selecting a location. I think we will wait as long as possible with the final site selection. However, we have now at least one clear favorite or some clear favorites in the site selection process internally that we will disclose, of course, later. But I think we can say that Butte has given a very good impression so far. But we will wait, at least some months, maybe at least it could be before year end. But we have decided when to disclose the location section.
Okay, thank you. I'll open it up to questions from other commissioners, if we have any. All right. Maybe Director Rosa, I mean, if you could answer a question or maybe explain, since I've been on council for almost 5 years, I've never received a request, and I know that there's going to be a public hearing here pretty soon, but maybe can you get into a little bit of the detail on the 75% tax abatement?
So under the state law, it's, sorry, Chair Frederickson, Commissioners.
You're all good.
Under the state law, it's 1524-1402, and you'll see in Montana that we have the option of a 75% tax abatement or a 50% tax abatement. Sonata is asking for the 75% tax abatement. The decision is fully up to the local government. So then the process, and if I make some up, Karen was involved in the last tax abatement request, which we believe was when the Copper King remodeled. And so I believe in that process, the chief executive put together a evaluating committee with department heads and commissioners and things like that on it to evaluate the request and bring a recommendation back to council.
Okay. So, sure, Director Burns.
Thank you, Chairman Frederickson, members of council. Yes, so the last tax abatement we considered was for the Copper King Hotel when it was planning to reopen. And the process went just as Kristen described in terms of a presentation, a public hearing, and then prior to a recommendation coming back to this body, the administration at that time put together what we called the Tax Abatement Review Committee. And so that committee looked at what was being requested, did some analysis, projected some numbers out, and brought that back to the council with a recommendation and explained exactly what that abatement would look like, what we're gaining, the positives of the development in our community, and then ultimately made a recommendation for the council to consider, either a pro or a con. Obviously, we would probably bring back a pro if we were going to ask for your permission to go into this next step.
Okay. And so the next steps will be the public hearing, and I don't want you to, the chief executive is excused because he's out of town, but I don't want you to speak for him. Do you get the impression that that's going to be the same process, or that we'll have a presentation and a recommendation back here?
Chairman Frederickson, members of council, that's what I would recommend to the chief executive, we follow that same process. Obviously we can't speak for him, but we would recommend that same process to him because it seems to work well.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want you to speak for him, but I wanted to just lay out how this all works.
Yes.
So. Okay, are there any other questions? Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Frederickson. Thanks, Karen. I just have one question with this tax abatement. How long does the tax abatement scenario last?
So,
Commissioner Reardon, Director Rosa.
So, Chair, Commissioner Reardon. A tax abatement, so on the 75% tax abatement, for the first 5 years, they will pay 25% of local mills. This abatement is only on local mills, it's not on state mills. So for 5 years, they pay 25% of those local mills, and then for the next 5 years, it ratchets up, so at year 10, they're paying 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chairman Frederickson. Just looking at this, I don't know anything about this, so it says it must be taxed at 25% or 50% of their taxable value in the income. Where is the 75% out of this ordinance? Where does the 75% come from?
Director Huzza.
So Chair Frederickson, Commissioner Thatcher, it's the 25%. So they are paying 25%. We are abating 75%. So yeah, I guess it's how we want to do the math. That's all right.
All right, are there any other questions? Oh, Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions, but I just want to express that how excited I am about this. To have a complementary company come in with right next to REC, I think that we need to embrace these types of developments. These are the types of jobs that we need in this community. And I look forward to the public hearing because I do want to hear everybody's opinions about this, but I know there are a few of the tax abatement businesses that have been in the past. They're all still operating and paying 100% taxes. So I remember how controversial they were at the time, and turns out that the risk reward was, it was a pretty good deal. So I'm hoping that everybody will listen to this with an open mind and look to the positive things that this company can bring to our community. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shea. Well said. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. And any other questions? Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chairman. A couple questions, sir. I don't know if you can hear me very well or not, but as far as storage for the nickel, the other elements that you're using for the batteries and everything, how are they stored, and what are the likelihoods of any pollutions or any other issues that may come up from the manufacturing processes?
So the question is, are there pollution in any other types of the material sourcing, or?
Yes.
Yes, well, silane is by far the biggest input factor. Electricity is also one key element, but that's, when it comes to at least the electricity, that's the main factor with, or the advantage of our product, that it will dramatically reduce the needed electricity compared to how it's done today with graphite. There are not that many other input factors. They have a very small share, and no large emissions related to the productions at all. But we are working also on the permits for emissions. I'm an economist, so I don't have detailed information about the process, unfortunately. But we can get back to you if you have to have more information on that. Did that answer your question? I don't know.
For the most part, yes. And follow up, if I could. Could the presentation that you presented today is kind of hard to see on our screen over here? Would it be possible to send that to the commissioners?
Absolutely.
could we get a copy of that to go over it? And thank you very much for your interest and everything, and it's good to be able to see you and have you participate in the meeting and give us an update on your plans. And I guess the only other, another follow-up, I guess, is the minerals and everything that you're getting and you're bringing in for these batteries and shipping. I imagine that's probably one of the bigger eliminating factors in your guys' decision, correct?
The question is that if the minerals that we're bringing in is
like supply chain issues, how to get all the products in to construct the batteries and get the batteries back out. I imagine those logistics are going to be one of the key decisions in moving forward for your company in the U.S.
Yes, so at least logistics when it comes to raw materials, that's the sort of the main thing going into the logistics. So we would like to be located near RSC Silicon. And other logistics in the raw materials coming in is not so much, and transport from out of the factory, it will be to battery cell manufacturers in the US. We have at least one key partner that will take the majority of the material, and so that will be shipped by truck. So it's important, of course, then for us to have good access to high weight, and potentially something could be shipped by plane if it's needed. But yeah, I think the majority will go by trucks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, thank you for being here and thank you for the presentation. Again, like Commissioner Anderson was saying, we had a tough time seeing the sheets, the presentation, because it was, the print was real small. So we probably got all kinds of questions to ask. My question to you tonight is, will there be more state permitting that's needed? You were talking about permitting. Is that also, you're going to need any kind of state permits or anything like that?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I lost you for a couple of seconds there, and the sound is not so good, so I have a bit trouble with hearing you. But you talked a bit about some permitting and how that process is going. Was that correct? You understood?
What I was asking was, would you be required to have any other kind of state permits? For your, the type of business that you're putting out there, and I know nothing about it, so I'm just trying to educate myself a little bit. Would you need some like air quality permits, or would you need that kind of permitting? Would that be part of the process?
Yes, we need several permits, and we have initiated that process a bit. That's not my level of expertise, and I have a colleague working on that part. But that's something we have started on, and we would like to have clarified that, because that can lead to delays, of course, if we wait with permitting processes. So I think we will start permitting processes at least two of the locations before we announce the final location.
Great, thank you for your answer.
Back to the presentation. Is it okay if I send the presentation to Kristen so she can distribute that to you?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
All right, seeing no other questions, thanks again for meeting with us. I understand that it's very early where you're at right now, so I really appreciate it. I think you probably had to be here at 4 in the morning to my calculation. So thanks for that, and hopefully we'll get to meet you in person in Butte, Montana at some point. And we would love for you to come to our city, and you can come to council if you'd like. But there's certainly other things to do while you're here. So looking forward to meeting you in person.
Thanks for inviting us. And yeah, we've actually had a trip already and met with a lot of people. We had a trip in March, and we'll definitely come back and let you know so we can meet. So thank you.
Right. All right, we'll move into section 2. Communications number 2023-144. Aubrey Japp, BSB Public Archives Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher sign an agreement with Fox Alarm and Technology for security system monitoring for the Clark Chateau. We have a new agreement that has been linked to the website, so folks can go and look at the new agreement, and we are ready to move forward. So Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I would make a motion to concur and place on file communication number 2023-144.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anything on the questions? Will commissioners please vote? Clerk, will you record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Communication number 2023-172, Karen Malachny, BSB Health Officer, requesting Council of Commissioners approval to hold a public hearing on May 3rd, 2023 for the purpose of amending the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget to allow for increased expenditures of unanticipated revenue resulting from collection of fees in the immunization program. We had that public hearing last Wednesday. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I would make a motion to place communication number 2023-172 on file.
We have a vote. Is there anything on the question? Will commissioners please vote? Clerk, will you record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Motion passes. Communication number 2023-202, Elizabeth Osborne, BSB Senior Planner, requesting Council of Commissioners approval. Council of Commissioners approved the Comprehensive Plan Amendment number 23-000001. If the Council of Commissioners approves this communication, a resolution has been prepared and is also on the April 19th, 2023 agenda. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I would make the motion for communication number 2023-202 to be placed on file.
We have a motion. Will commit. Oh, pardon. County Attorney.
I think you probably want to hold that.
Hold it, yeah. I'll rescind my motion.
Okay. Commissioner Shea.
Yes, I will rescind my motion.
You rescind your
Yeah,
motion. Okay,
sorry.
we will
Thank
hold
you.
this in abeyance. Communication number 2023-217, Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence to schedule a bid opening for May 17th, 2023 for sanitary sewer main replacements near Alaska and Holland Streets. We've gotten word that we're not going to have this bid opening on May 17th, and so we were asked to note and place this communication on file. So, Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I would make a motion for communication number 2023-217 to note and place on file.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anything on the question? Will commissioners please vote? Commissioner Fortune. Clerk, will you record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Communication number 2023-219, Dylan Pipinich, BSB Planning Director, requesting Council of Commissioners permission to schedule a presentation on May 3rd, on the May 3rd regular meeting agenda to give a presentation on building code program. We had this presentation last Wednesday. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I would make a motion to place on file communication number 2023-219.
We have a motion. Is there anything on the question? Will commissioners please vote? Clerk, will you record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. 0 nay, motion passes. Communication number 2023-223, Aubrey Japp, Public Works Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for time on the May 24th, 2023 Committee of the Whole agenda to conduct a presentation on the Archives 2022 Annual Report. We will hold this until May 24th. Communication number 2023-231, Elizabeth Osborne, BSB Senior Planner, requesting Council of Commissioners approval to hold a public hearing on May 10th, 2023 for a comprehensive plan amendment to adopt the Butte-Silver Parks Master Plan as an addendum to the appendix. We had that wonderful public hearing from Ms. Osborne on earlier today, so Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I would like to place on file make a motion to place on file communication number 2023-231.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Clerk, will you record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Communication number 2023-233, Elizabeth Osborne, BSB Senior Planner, requesting Council of Commissioners approval to hold a public hearing on May 17th, 2023 for the Blacktail Creek Major Subdivision. Each proposed lot is between 1 to 2 acres in size and shall be serviced by individual well and septic systems. We will hold this for the public hearing on May 17th, next week. Communication number 2023-234, Jim Keenan, Water Plant Superintendent, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence to schedule a bid opening for May 17th, 2023 for supplying orthophosphate corrosion inhibitor to be used at the Butte-Silver water treatment plants. We will hold that for the bid opening next Wednesday. Communication number 2023-235, Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for time on the May 17th, 2023 for the county-wide maintenance district work plan update for fiscal year 2023 and the work plan for fiscal year 2024. We will hold that for the presentation from Director Neary next week. Communication number 2023-236, Jim Keenan, Water Plant Superintendent, requesting Council of Commissioners for time on the May 24th, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting for a presentation on the Community Wildfire Projectant Plan. We will hold that for the presentation on the 24th. Communication number 2023-243, Kristen Rosa, Economic Development Director, requesting Council of Commissioners approval to hold a public hearing on May 24th, 2023 to hear public comment about the proposed tax abatement under MCA 15-24-1502, a 75% tax abatement for new or expanding industry. We will hold that for the public hearing on May 24th. Communication number 2023-244, Kristen Rosa, Economic Development Director, requesting Council Commissioners for a presentation on May 10th, 2023 by Sonata regarding the proposed development in the Montana Connections Park and to request a 75% tax abatement as per MCA 15-24-1402, new or expanding industries. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I would make a motion to place on file communication number 2023-244.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anything on the question? Will commissioners please vote? Clerk, will you record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, 0 nay. Motion passes. All right. I will now ask for public comment on any matter not on the agenda. Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn unless any commissioners want to speak on anything. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, signal by aye. All opposed,